Okay, welcome back. We are getting ready to do the final module. This one I called a bonus module, and I do think of it as extra because I could easily have ended with module 3 and just left everybody to implement all the information on their own. But I wanted to do a little bit more. And so this is the bonus module where I'm going to help with the idea of mixing all of this information that we've covered in the last 3 modules. I'm going to put them all together into a much more clarified system of how to use it, how to implement it. So a lot of times you'll get the information, but you won't really get implementation. And that can be costly because if you don't get the implementation and you just get the information, most people just collect a lot of information and they don't move forward with it, or they apply it very poorly and it's not real powerful for their business or their personal life or whatever they're doing. So the other part is often people will do a course like this and then not teach any implementation, and the implementation is much more expensive, and that's what they offer as their service. And so you might spend a few $100s for a course and then thousands for implementation, which I'm not faulting that model. I do have partially that model myself. It's a very effective model, and it's worth it to have a mentor who knows what they're doing to be able to help you exactly with the steps, knowing exactly what you've gone through and where you're wanting to be. It's great to have a guide who can walk you through all those steps, holding your hand and getting you to that. It's worth thousands of dollars. That said, I want to show to you that this implementation can change your business. It can help you get customers, raise rates, discover how to help people even in more impactful ways. It's very important. So not just integrating all of this information together in one, but also doing some implementation. And anybody who's semi-successful in business will tell you that success favors speed. Success favors movement. And so those people who just collect a little bit of information and never apply it and never really go for it, they're just going to continually do that over and over and over. But the people who are successful with this are the ones who are going to get serious about it and jump into it right off the dock right now. They're going to jump in and start swimming. And it might be a lot of splashing around at first and getting their orientation and figuring things out. But once that's done and they start really figuring it out, it's very powerful. So let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen here real quickly. So this is going to be the implementation model. It's going to be a 30-day implementation system. We're going to talk about, you've already learned module 1, we talked about psychology. Module 2 was the 4-part validation formula. Module 3 was the transformation fingerprint. So we're going to put all of those together and get you to where within 30 days, you're going to have a really solid idea of how to do all this and how to improve upon it as well. How to know that it's working and not working and how to improve upon it, because this game is always constantly adapting and growing. And you'll find that in your own business as well. You're going to continually grow and learn how to do things better and improve upon things and develop new things. Before we get started, I want to do a quick personal note and an invitation. So I transform brilliant coaches who feel invisible despite their expertise into magnetic authorities who attract premium clients through psychology-based positioning. Without sales calls, I do not teach cold outreach, and I definitely do not teach manipulative tactics. This isn't just what I teach, it's the exact transformation I've lived. So I lost my martial arts business in 2008, struggled for years, and I jumped into the coaching world. And then I discovered so sorry. I want to point out this is the most aggressive tactic that I have for pushing a product or a service. Okay. So after I lost my martial arts business in 2008, I struggled for years to be seen in the coaching world. I finally understood psychology alignment, and that's what changed everything. Now I help coaches create the same recognition breakthrough that I experienced. So here's what I've noticed. The Recognition Method Intensive creates powerful shifts for those who implement it fully. But the coaches who experience the most dramatic transformations, those who go from invisible to fully booked with premium clients, are the ones who get personalized guidance as they apply these principles to their unique situation. If you're really serious about transformation, not just information, I've already talked about that a little bit, I do invite you to explore working with me more closely through the impact journey. The 4-part validation, the transformation fingerprint, this recognition method is only one part of my overall mentorship package. So the impact journey is where you take your recognition method and create a complete business transformation, system tailored specifically to your expertise, audience, and goals. It includes personal implementation of your recognition method with my direct guidance. A lot of times I'll help people write, improve upon, and even discover things that they could help people with they didn't realize they could. We're going to develop your complete business system, not just your marketing. I can help people implement really impactful, really profound transformation businesses where they're coaching people to change their lives. We're going to have plenty of one-on-one calls to ensure you never get stuck at critical points and always know what to do next. The advanced psychological positioning techniques that eliminate all competition. This intensive gives you the foundation, but that's exactly what it is. It's only foundation. There's much deeper levels to go into. This is just an introduction to identity marketing and your recognition method. So there's a button to click there if you'd like to learn more about that and see what it looks like. I'm not like some mentors who charge $10,000 or $20,000 for a few measly months. You'll hear from any of my clients that I work with that I give myself wholeheartedly to each client, and I do it at a price that they would easily pay double for what they get from working with me. So think about that. In the meanwhile, let's start talking about building your recognition method system. So there it was. That was my big aggressive plug for you guys. We're going to talk first about the integration principle, and this is really important. Most coaches collect tactics. A little bit smarter people also collect strategies. And those are great. I mean, we have to have some kind of tactics. We have to have some kind of strategy. That's just what keeps us organized and focused on specific things. But recognition happens when total systematic alignment happens across everything that you do. So it includes your messaging, your positioning, your approach. That all of that combined is your recognition method. When these elements work together, they create compound effects. Your validation makes your fingerprint feel inevitable. Your fingerprint makes your pricing feel natural. And your approach makes your results feel guaranteed. It's not about perfecting anything, it's just alignment. It's having that perfect rapport with that specific audience that you're aiming to speak to. The recognition method creates an entire ecosystem. And when that ecosystem is in place, you'll notice a lot of things happen very naturally because they're all quite aligned. Content naturally attracts ideal clients. Conversations just flow into an enrollment process that feels natural. Premium pricing feels obvious. People don't question it because it seems obvious. You're such an expert that, of course, your prices are higher. Clients become advocates using your specific language because they're so enamored and impressed with what you're helping them do and the transformation that they experience, that they just want to spread the word, so to speak. And your business grows because of recognition rather than hustle. None of us, very few of us, really want to be marketers. What we want is to help people improve their lives. Marketing is just the vehicle that gets us there. So the less time we're spending marketing and hustling, and the more time that we're spending with clients, that creates a healthy business that we want. So there's a 3-layered system to put all this together. The first layer is creating your recognition, which is your 4-part validation formula. That's what creates the immediate connection where people start listening. That's kind of like the attention getter. That deals with the specific moment, the internal dialogue, the contrast point, and the normalization. Those are the 4 things that we covered in the 4-part validation formula. The next layer is how you position yourself different from everybody else. What's your unique positioning? This is your transformation fingerprint. And it's what sets you aside where people go, this isn't like everybody else. This is different. And the transformation fingerprint talks about the from identity, where the person is a specific person in their current state, and then to the desired identity of what they would rather be, where they really want to be. And then the through process, which is your unique method that gets them that new desired identity. And then the third layer is the natural conversation. This is where it all comes together. If you're having a conversation with the person who's listened to your content or watched your content and it's very relatable to them, and then the alignment breaks because you don't sound like that person when they speak to you, the conversation doesn't seem natural. They want to hear the person who's been writing that content. And so the relief to yes pathway is what I call the conversation pathway, where it starts with the recognition, then moves to relief, then builds possibility or opens possibility, builds trust, and creates commitment. So we've got different points where we can put this all to work. Content creation, of course, is very powerful. Every piece integrates the validation and the fingerprint and a natural invitation. That would be like your CTA, your call to action. The conversation flow creates recognition, which leads naturally into the fingerprint discussion, which leads naturally into enrollment. The offer talks about programs, and the programs or your method is the vehicle that will help them gain the specific desired identity that they're looking for. Remember, all of this is a foundational, it's maybe a little bit advanced, of identity marketing. So we're talking to an identity that is struggling with something, and they would rather be a different identity, but they don't know how to get there. They've maybe tried, sometimes even for years, and it's just been painfully one struggle after another, trying one thing after another and failing, and that identity seems out of reach. So your offer positions your method to get them to that point where they can realize that new identity. And then we can talk also about client experience, reinforcing their identity evolution throughout your entire process once you're actually working with somebody. So if we're talking 30 days, we start with week 1 is laying the foundation. We're putting together, in the first couple of days, we're focusing on the validation formula, perfecting your recognition language. We're finalizing the 4-part validation formula, putting it all together. We're improving upon it as best as we can. Then once we've got a version of it together, we're going to create 3 different variations talking about 3 specific situations. And then we're going to test each one of those in content using the complete 4-part formula. And then just keep track of how they perform. If they're performing really well, you'll notice comments immediately talking about, wow, this is powerful. This speaks directly to me. Boy, do I know what that's like. All sorts of things speaking directly about the content. You'll also get increased engagement, often within the first hour, but you'll notice engagement improve. And direct messages will reference specific pieces of content. So the next couple of days, once we've got the 4-part validation formula up and running, the next couple of days, we're going to talk about doing fingerprint integration, weaving your unique positioning into your message. Anytime I say messaging, that means your content, whatever your content is. So you'll complete your transformation fingerprint statement. The content showcases a from identity shifting to a desired identity. So it'll be put in the content so that they'll see, like, oh yeah, that's me. Hey, that would be cool to be that. Working more to clarify your fingerprint language and putting it into your bios and about sections, so that people can, if they're researching and reading a little bit more about you, they'll find immediately stuff that you're about. And it'll also share your unique through process, introducing your methodology and how you get people from this identity to that identity. Success indicators for when this starts working is people will start asking about your specific approach. You'll notice reduced comparison to other coaches. People won't say, what about this person? What about that person? Oh, you sound like Tony Robbins or whomever. And your positioning as an expert in your field will feel real. It won't just feel like an illusion. You'll notice a lot of imposter syndrome will disappear, all sorts of things like that. And then wrapping up the first week, we're going to create signature content pillars. What I usually suggest is to develop 3 to 5 core content themes for your method. Create a content calendar incorporating the validation and the fingerprint. And that just means, how often are you wanting to post? Are you going to post every other day, every day? Are you going to do a longer thing once a week, short things several times a week? Just whatever your content calendar is, just to help it be consistent. You want to have a very consistent posting rhythm, and you want to really start engaging with your audience and talking to your audience a whole lot, going to their profiles or their pages and doing intentional engagement, not just like nice stuff, cool post, awesome, here's an emoji, but actually heartfelt posts. Success indicators at the end of this first week, you'll notice engagement is high. You're going to be seen as people are going to start talking about specific topics, meaning they're seeing you as an authority. And the conversation flow from content just becomes easy. It's not forced. It becomes very natural. At the second week, we're going to start talking about validation mastery and expansion, specifically, creating validation sequences across platforms. So now that you've got your validation sequence from week 1 put together, that was the very first thing that we talked about, first couple of days in the first week. You're going to adapt your formula for different styles and different platforms, meaning adapt the formula for a long form piece of content, written or video, a short form piece of content, written or video. I should put written in there somewhere. There, I'll edit as I go. You're going to create validation sequences that build over multiple posts, so you can tell the first part of a story and then post and tell the second part of a story and then post and tell the third part of the story to keep people coming back. And that's something to experiment with. And then I would call that layered, and then test those advanced techniques, whether it's cascading all in one or it's layered where it's over several posts, and see which ones are more popular, which ones are getting most engagement, and then document which ones work the best. You can also go across platforms, like if you're on several different platforms. This is much more advanced. I always say hit the one platform that is the most successful for you, the one that's got the biggest audience, the one that's more used to your coaching or consulting business, one that's more engaged, anything like that. If you've got a couple that are good sized and are pretty engaged and you've been talking on both of them, you could probably post the same content on both platforms. Where it would get different is if you're posting like Instagram and LinkedIn, say, because LinkedIn, you're going to want more written long form material that's professional sounding. The voice needs to be a little more professional, a little more industry driven, where Instagram is much more visual and much more short form. So it's got to be punchy and more visual in Instagram. The same content probably won't perform the same way on both of those. And so you have to think about stuff like that. But if Instagram is got a lot of engagement and your people are excited about stuff that you're doing on your Instagram page, don't force stuff on LinkedIn. Focus on one platform first and get it down. And then that success will bleed over into other platforms. So in the middle of that second week, or starting to get towards the end, you're going to start talking about authority. And what this is doing is establishing your expertise. And what I do is I don't talk about how great I am. I talk about how great my method is, the transformation that I can help people with. Like, I don't want to brag about myself because that comes off very poorly. Most people will just click away right immediately. So if you've had clients in the past, you could share case studies that highlight their specific identity transformations, how they started out as a struggling this and that, and then became a successful, you know, dream identity. Also, create content explaining your unique methodology, talking about why it works so well and how it's so powerful, and position your approach against conventional wisdom. People like it when you go against the grain. Um, a lot of people will. Here's what I don't like: don't do what everybody else is doing, where they go like, email lists are dead. What you have to do is this. Or, paid ads aren't like they used to be. That method is dead. It's all BS. So like everything works. If it's done correctly, everything works. Some stuff needs a little more luck to push it into success. Some stuff needs a lot more money to push it into success, but everything works. So don't go so against conventional wisdom that you're sounding like everybody else who's going like, this is dead, that's dead, this trend is over. Don't focus on stuff like that. Focus on, if you've been trying this and it's not working, there's probably a reason. What you need is something more unique. And here's my method that's like nothing you've ever seen. That's kind of the approach that I would take. When you're doing this all correctly, you're going to notice that people will start talking to you like you're the expert for the transformation that you're promising. And you'll start getting referrals and maybe even speaking opportunities, people wanting to interview you and things like that. So day 14 is the midpoint, end of 2 weeks, right? So now we can measure and refine the method. Review what's been performing great, collect feedback, go through and see what the comments have been like and what your highest performing pieces of material are. And then you can adjust and make more content like the strongest pieces of content. And then it's a little bit of trial and error, but you'll notice that it's really powerful when you implement it. You'll see even more improved engagement. You'll get specific responses using recognition language, and at you'll notice people start inquiring about working with you. I would say this takes 2 or 3 weeks of posting really regularly, getting a lot of eyes. It's always about getting more and more eyes on it. So the more you can be relatable in your recognition language, the more you can validate with that formula, the more you can talk about their pain of the current identity moving into the desired identity, you'll start catching people's attention. They will start listening, they will start reading. And so that's why this language is very important to improve upon and to understand and to clarify. So then at the beginning of week 3, we're going to focus on natural invitation, which is kind of like your call to action. You don't have to have call to actions your first couple of weeks. Not every piece of content needs to have a call to action. It's much more important to have it be validating and have your fingerprint on it. If you do that and then people understand Matthew's method helps me stop feeling invisible and stop feeling like everybody's looking at me like I'm an imposter, to the point where I can actually make money online and live a life that I'm incredibly grateful for. They will come to you without calls to action. So, but this is a natural, I call it like a soft CTA, a very natural invitation, pressure free enrollment approaches, right? You're going to create conversation starters that feel natural and develop the relief to yes pathway, and practice transitioning from recognition to possibility, and design simple next steps that honor readiness. You'll notice that conversions will feel like, or conversations rather, feel like consultations rather than sales. You don't ever have to talk anybody into making a sale. It'll be obvious they're either going to be ready and it'll be a yes or a no, or they're not ready and it's just a no for now. I always take every no as just being a no for now. That's okay. No problem. Let me know when you're ready, or if I can help you in a different way. There's always possibilities, right? Much less objections when you have sales conversations like this that are just natural, that honor the person's readiness, that talk more about possibilities and lean more on going from the pain of the current identity to the glory of the desired identity. Midweek for that, we're going to be talking about offer integration, where we align the programs with the recognition method. This is using the offer, talking about the offer rather, with the transformation fingerprint language, and to where it's not just the method, but it's the whole process of going through the entire offer and jumping in, creating enrollment conversations that start with validation. So this isn't just about our content. It's also, I want to make this really clear for everybody. This is advanced communication. It's healthy communication. So the validation formula, the transformation fingerprint, any of the other communication styles that I teach, it's not about just employing them into your, or deploying them rather, into your content, or using it in a sales conversation to make money. It's also the way that you communicate with people while you're consulting them, when you're running sessions with them. It's a constant, healthy way of communicating. A lot of times I tell people, I'm not a marketer, I'm a communicator. I'm not a coach, I'm a communicator. What I teach is communication. It's not sales. If I was teaching sales, we'd be focused on objection handling. We'd be focused on creating urgency. We'd be focused on creating scarcity and all of these things, these tricks of creating pressure. But that's not what I teach. I teach communication. So the only factors, there's maybe 3 factors that have to be present for this to really work. You have to be able to actually help the person. They have to have the problem that you can help with. They have to see you and go like, okay, I'm interested in what this person's got to say. And you've got to be willing to work with them. Like, if they're a pain or they rub you the wrong way and you're not into spending time with them, it's probably not going to go well if you're helping them transform. So it's not worth taking their money because it's not going to be enjoyable. So that's my thing when I qualify people. I have to be able to help them. I have to want to spend time with them, and they have to pay. They got to make the commitment to move forward and take the help. So that's what all this communication is leaning toward. And when you approach sales conversations in that regard, it's really healthy and it's very natural, and I don't take it personally when somebody says no. I just take it as a timing issue, and maybe next time that won't be present and they'll say yes. So that's how I look at it. So you can create enrollment conversations that start with validation. Pay attention to these little notes because these are tricks that will make your communication much more powerful. Develop pricing discussions that feel like investment planning rather than costly ventures. Design client journeys that reinforce the identity transformation. Always keep in mind what they're wanting to achieve, what their outcome is, what that desired identity that they're looking for is. So we'll notice that giving out offers feels like a natural extension of just the overall conversation. We won't have defensive objections when we start talking about price. They'll start figuring out ways to make it happen instead, is my experience. And clients enrolling who already understand your value. Like there's no having to prove yourself or having to convince. I wanted to take the convincing out of sales and just have it be natural and easy. So that'll take us up to the end of the third week. The beginning of that week, we're going to start just refining, because a lot of this game is just refining and refining. Look at the entire map of a client from the very first piece of content to the conversation, content to engagement, conversation, offer, and then client, and map out that complete journey and look for any places where there's a bottleneck, where flow stops, where there's an issue, and refine your communication in those points. Create speaking points that are validating and recognizing, and share your transformation fingerprint and share your methods and why they're so powerful and things like this. Look at your highest converting approaches, whether it's the highest piece of content that gets the most engagement, the conversations that you have that get the most offers presented to the prospects, the highest converting offers that will, because you constantly want to refine the offer as well. And then you'll whittle it down to the most effective content pieces, create templates for those pieces of content. The most effective conversations, create templates for those conversations. The most effective offers, create templates for those offers. That's what I do. And that's also something that I can help you with. I can share with you the conversations that are the best for me, that work the best for my approach. I can share with you the pieces of content that work the best. That's what I do. That becomes your signature process. And then that fourth week, we're going to talk about some advanced ideas to sophisticate your method just a little bit more. Complex validation sequences that are interweave more and more ideas. Also talking about think about industry specific fingerprint applications. What are people neglecting to talk about? So this can help you think about identities that people aren't addressing, whether it's the from identity or the to identity. You want to look at gaps where people aren't addressing this identity, or nobody's talking about becoming that identity. And it'll also help you fill in gaps where if you recognize something that's not being addressed in your industry, you can create a method around it that addresses that, and you can be that person, that expert that has that. Always stay open to strategic partnerships and just doing maybe joint venture workshops, joint venture master classes, workshops, courses, anything like that. And design content that talks about your advanced expertise, not just the general stuff. So the thing about this is you never just want to sound general. You want to sound like you're unique, why you're different from everybody else. So you have to stay away from just doing the general thing that everybody else is talking about. You'll notice that you'll be seen as an innovative thinker. You'll be inspiring. You'll have opportunities for thought leadership, like people will be inquiring, podcasts, interviews, different things like that begin to happen. And you'll notice other coaches will be wanting to know what you're doing that's different, that they're not doing. Everybody will want to have what you're getting. Which is an opportunity, I will say, down the road when we talk about scaling. You could develop a course teaching what you do and having yourself be the authority of that and sell your course so that others can be, understand the methods that you use as well. So thinking about scaling, that's the last part of our week. And the way I do that and think about that is I have like my content banks where I have like my 4 or 5 situations, my 4 or 5 internal thoughts, the contrast points, the different identities that I'm speaking to, the different desired identities that I can transform people into. I start creating templates so that I love the idea of templates, so that, and I share several of them with you here at the bottom of this page. Use the templates. They are insanely powerful. Put your own language into them, but they're really, really powerful. Definitely build a measurement system so that you can understand what's not performing and then either improve it or don't ever post something knowing that it's a weak performer. The stuff sometimes that you think is really strong and you're really proud of doesn't perform, and then stuff that you talk about and don't plan ends up being a high performer. Analyze that stuff and see why is that performing well, and is there a reason this isn't, and always adjust and improve your communication. Design client success systems that create referrals so you can, impress your clients so much that they want to refer more people to you. That's one of my all-time goals, is having as much word of mouth success as I'm having with content. And then the last couple of days, we're just thinking about more integration and evolution. We've got the complete system all put together. So now we're thinking more into the future, where we're completing our entire alignment of our whole business. The whole recognition method is put into place. So we want to think about our next strategies. ongoing how we're going to develop and how we're going to refine. So you want to check in. Do you want to look every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, once a month, and see what's performing top, what's performing least? Make this easy for yourself so that you can just replicate and you're not constantly having to think of new content. That's why I say create 5 pieces of content where you can interchange the situation, the internal dialogue, the from identity, the to identity. It always talks about your method. And then you can think of like your top transformations that you've helped create and just hammer the top 3, the top 4, even if they're your transformations. I develop like 3 soft call to actions and I interchange those in. So my content is all like plug and play. It's like little Legos. I just have to put like 6 Legos together and I post that. And then the next day I break those Legos down and I put 6 more together. Just one out of the validation group, and one out of this group and one out of this group. I take one from each pool, like same ingredients, just a little bit different refinement with each one. That makes content super easy. And then I can spend time thinking about how do I want to talk about the method today? How do I want to explain why this works so powerfully today? And those are the types of things that I do fresh creation on. And then every couple of weeks I go like, that didn't hit. This didn't hit. Interesting. Pay close attention to the time of day that you're posting, the days that you're posting. Is there a day and a time of day that works best? These types of things. Whatever you do, stay really consistent. Be consistent. And don't just learn to write this way, but learn to speak this way. Because if you write really eloquently and it connects with people, and then you speak poorly, for lack of a better word, and people go like, this doesn't sound who I was looking into working with, spending thousands of dollars with, it's going to break all that rapport. So learn to speak this way as well, not just write. It's very important. So here's some templates for you to look at. These are going to be extremely powerful for you. They've got like what the statement is and how to put it together, how to add it all in, and that would be one awesome piece of content for you to look at. And I put a bunch of them in here. I also put conversation templates in here, like how you can practice to talk about specific validation points, their specific. So I take notes when I'm talking to people, or if it's in the DMs, I'll look back and say like, oh yeah, they were having problems with this. So I mentioned the exact problem that it also lets them know that I'm listening to them, that they're important enough for me that I'm actually hearing what they've got to say. So these are good conversation templates. I measure them as well and which ones work the best. When you're reviewing, these are questions that I ask that will help me analyze and refine. And then there's some ideas for specific industry adaptations. Business coaches, health and wellness coaches, relationship coaches. Those are the 3 major niches: health, wealth, and relationship. And then there's some ideas for specific platforms, whether it's like professional, whether it's more visual, whether it's more short form, community driven, anything like that. And then lastly, I'll just mention like if you're talking about scaling, once you start getting some good traction and you're starting to get some success, you want to master your own method. Really get an understanding for this. Don't just let it be a template, but dive in deeply and really understand how this is powerful in your business model, and create a client success system around that to help them always constantly transform to bigger, more desired identities. This means that you're going to be helping bigger and bigger problems, and the that's really powerful. You get the idea to move into a bigger problem. You can charge more money. People are more thankful when it's a much more dire issue. And teach your methodology. Don't be scared to teach your methodology. Become known for your method and your uniqueness. Talk about the development of it, where it came from, the backstory of it, how you transformed your own life through it, how it's helped others, why it's relevant, why it's different from everybody else. All of these types of things are really powerful and place you in a good spot as the expert to work with. So ways you know that you've graduated from this and you're a recognition master are that every piece of content that you post creates immediate recognition, and people just comment about it like, this is amazing, I love this piece of content, it's so powerful. They'll talk specifically about things in the content that you are speaking about. You'll feel very uniquely positioned in the marketplace. You'll have no problems with premium pricing. It'll feel natural. People will go like, yeah, it makes sense. It sounds really powerful. And competitors will start copying your language. You'll notice people sounding like you, which is what you want. Nobody can duplicate you, only, a watered down version of you. So it's a huge compliment when people start talking the way you talk. In conversations, you'll notice prospects arrive ready to go. And sales conversations, I look at them just like alignment checks. They're just like, do I want to work with this person? Can I help them? And okay, let's move forward then. And very rarely, I can't say that you won't ever have objections, but they become very rare, because people will know ahead of time what they're getting into and what the importance of working with you's like. And signing somebody up new just feels natural. It's the obvious next step. Remember, this will continue to evolve as your expertise deepens, your fingerprint becomes more sophisticated, you discover new validation patterns, recognition triggers, the transformation results create more specific positioning. You'll grow and be able to help bigger and bigger things. That'll change the way that you talk and the way that you form your message to talk to specific people. So the last little idea that I want to talk about is what you want to have happen at the end of this 30 days. Think about it and really look at it. Starting from right now, week 1, you want to think about getting immediate improvement in engagement. You want to start a recognition process where you are uniquely positioned in your field. And conversations start to feel natural and different, more aligned. I always look at the alignment of the conversation. By the end of 30 days, I want you to picture yourself positioned as the expert for the transformation that you promise people. I want you to picture natural client attraction, and you're doing very little effort marketing and hustling, creating content. It's easy, just minutes a day. Positioning is so natural that price objections disappear. You could probably double, triple prices, quadruple prices, 10 times prices for some of you. Stop giving away everything for free. And most importantly, after this 30 days, the business, your business, is aligned with your values and your lifestyle goals. Then we're going to go out even further, thinking about 90 days. You've already implemented this 30-day challenge. Now, 90 days out. Envision a waiting list of clients who want to work with you. Industry recognition, because your unique methodology is starting to be seen on a wider level. Referrals come in from clients. And not only is the business aligned with your values and lifestyles, but it's also starting to support your ideal lifestyle. That's where this works. That's where this heads towards. So clearly your next step is start your 30-day implementation. Do it immediately. Start working on it day one. Jump into the outline that I provided. Be sure to document your results. Document your refinements. Track the recognition indicators and how things are improving. Don't be afraid to adjust here and there based on how the market responds to you. Keep in mind that the recognition isn't about just being seen by everybody. It's only about being deeply understood by the right people, by your ideal audience. When you master this, the recognition method, you won't just transform your business, but you can transform the entire industry. It's very possible you can become the coach that other coaches study. Maybe like you've studied coaches in the past, you can be the one others are studying. The authority, creating change, and you're doing it all without crazy amounts of hustle, without marketing manipulation and all sorts of things like that. So good luck with the 30-day implementation. I would absolutely welcome you to message me and let me know how it's going. Field questions that I can help you with, and just keep in touch and let me know. And of course, always keep in mind the invitation that I have. My offer will change from time to time and what it incorporates and what it's teaching, but I'll always have something available to work more directly with me that can help you transform even easier, even greater, with all of the dreams that you're trying to achieve and all of the really wonderful people that you're trying to help. I can help you formulate a method, put a program together, do a course, or create a consulting business. And all the while perfecting your recognition method and making your message stronger than ever so that it resonates with exactly the right people. Until then, keep in touch, and I will talk to you soon.